is making the same mistakes, but Uncle Sam's on Mars, and no one down here knows.
Talking about something that's going to radically change the world over the next 2 years, which is AI, but specifically sales implementations and what those mean and where the market's going and how it's going that way. I'm the nerdy type of guy. My name is Jordan Russ. I'm the CEO of Set to Close. I'm here with our CRO, Julio, and we're just going to be diving into these topics today through and through. And so who are Set to Close? So you guys know, as we get into this, we work primarily with B2B companies in the marketplace, mainly in manufacturing and distribution. So we really understand consistent large-scale supply chains and how to sell within those mid-market to large enterprise spaces. And this is to help your business along. So if you're a key leader within those, whether it's a regional framework, a national framework, or a global framework, we're going to nail down some things that are really going to give you a competitive edge or where the market's moving in 2024. To say there's going to be a little bit of change is an understatement. Numbers came out, I think it was called from Ipsos, and they were asking companies, how much percentage of your staff are you going to lay off because of AI? And in 2024 alone, the number that came up was 30%. And that's just chaotic, right? So people are going to have to re-engineer, reschool, redo what they're going to do. And so that number just came out. So you can imagine like a 30% shift in workforce when you need hundreds of programmers before. Now one person can be using these AI models to program very extreme things, no code sort of methodologies. So this is moving more towards the realm that people were imagining. It's just taking a little bit of time to get there. So it wasn't an instant chaos, but this is what I imagine is going to be the year of chaos, election year, AI going crazy, doing new things. The global order kind of shifting a little bit. So there's a lot of changes in 2024. So how do we use AI to go ahead of it? And we're going to ask a lot of questions today. So Julia, I know you had a couple things that you want to start off and say hello to everybody, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it. And as you mentioned with AI, I mean, I've been just floored by it. Like I've been using it at a small scale, in my opinion, but I am excited for this year. I'm very excited to see what develops, what's going to come out, and the speed at which technology is developing and AI is developing is absolutely crazy to me. To see that like curve go so far and up and to the right, it's just insane, right? Like seeing sales change over the last 2-3 years more than I had in like 15, 20 years previously. And it's no joke, right? Every single aspect, I think, of sales is going to be touched some way, shape, or form, right? Whether it's your go-to-market strategy that's going to be, driven by some AI decision making, whether it's your assistants that everybody kind of needs now in today's day and age to help them out with all these pieces of technology that sometimes integrate and sometimes don't. But meeting assistants, something I've been using lately, which has been super helpful. Very awesome. Helps me make decisions, helps me when I'm not necessarily completely woken up and had my cup of coffee in the morning to get things going and make the right choices on tasks in the morning. Sales coaching, right? That's a big one. That was one of the biggest ones that I personally saw coming from sort of a trainer background and in the education space within sales. But sales coaches are a game changer. So now reps can get trained or advice or coached on the fly, and you can scale it. Where you used to have one, manager who can only listen to calls and only give so much time to each and every person. Now everybody can get advice coached at the same time. It's a game changer there for sure. And everybody knows about the content pieces, the content marketing pieces from AI. They're helping content writers out, and that's something that we'll have to talk about too. Is what's going to happen with that? Can everybody continue to create AI generated content? How much will it get penalized? What does Google do with it, and what does LinkedIn do with it, and all that fun stuff. But CRM as well, a big one for us over at Set to Close for sure. Working with sales teams, tuning their CRMs up, making sure that they're working optimally. And a big piece of that is AI. How are they going to come in and work within a CRM to produce models, to make accurate predictions, to make recommendations, and just generally reduce the time that's required for data analysis. It's going to be exciting to see. And the relationship building, and that's the one piece that we'll see how it goes, but the prospecting and relationship building part which I'm sure we'll touch on today as well. How is that going to look when you're getting a phone call from an AI? And is it going to be passing itself off as a human? Is it going to be able to handle objections, or is it just simply going to be just like another voice on an answering machine, right? So all those things are on top of mind for me, and I think they're very exciting. And I'm strapped in and ready to go for this year to see what happens, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of changes coming, and you mentioned a lot. So I want to digest this slowly over this conversation and let people know that, how do you handle this or what to expect in what short order. So I think the big year of change and how things are going to mobilize themselves is this. First off, as a salesperson, you're going to have to be intertwined with technology more than any other position. So you're essentially going to be the modern cyborg. You're going to be someone who has to be heavy reliant on technologies for automations, for reach outs, for reading trends. You're going to have to be at the top of everything. So things are going to change immensely. So I'll give you some prime examples that we've had to add in. We don't have time anymore because we're going through so many different people, and we have to handle probably 3-4 times more contacts now to bring forward the opportunities that we need. So to do that, I have technologies, AIs that read people's personalities online, that tell me who's going to be in the meeting, what that buying group's composed of, and what to say and what not to say. And that just pre-populates in my email and in my CRM client before a meeting. And that makes, as an account executive, right, which I work as a lot of time, even in my own company, that allows me to save that tremendous amount of time on research, right? So that's all done for me. We can pre-populate those. We can automate them within the CRM, tell about the company, who's on the call, why they're on the call, what they've done in the last year, growth, how much they're growing. We can suck all that in between like LinkedIn, and we can get it from like Zoom Info, Apollos, things like this. And at the same time, we're getting the info from these new AIs that are reading profiles. A lot of things are changing. And this is, do not go with this, your company will fail. It's just a question of how fast. People are going to have to shift all the legion or alliances because the people who are moving, and it's like a rocket. It's not like a boat that's going out to harbor and maybe can catch out. This is like a rocket ship, and I don't think that's what a lot of people are grasping. So I want to give a little insight into what's coming in 2024. In maybe 18 months, it's 12 to 18 months, this will roll out in a quite high degree, will be what we call the AI sales manager. And what this will be is, imagine a subset that can monitor all your data, all your actions, all the replies to those actions instantaneously within your CRMs. And I'm talking the sophisticated CRMs, HubSpot, Salesforce, Dynamics, or NetSuite, things like this, really sophisticated CRMs or ERPs. They'll be able to detect what's happening and then make suggestions and categorically even change sequencing to adapt to a market based on salespeople's actions. So you're no longer going to need this VP of sales making strategic level decisions, because everything's going to start to get mapped almost perfectly towards those client mixes using AI. Now that's super dangerous, but at the same time, it's very exciting. So you're going to see a rise in a couple things. And this is just my hypothesis at the moment, but it's where things are trending. So the first thing is, sales management will turn into old-fashioned, rah, work with the individual, master the mind, master the talk track, the relationship piece will go a lot more. But what that's going to require is less time for managers doing data tasks like they were locked into before. We always know there's two types of managers, ones who are good with people and ones who are good with data. The good with data are going to be dead, because data is going to be provided perfectly in equation, and it's going to be monitored and suggested to them, and they just have to be able to read the market nuances and trends to intertwine with them to make good, intelligent decisions. The other side, though, the people side, is going to be accentuated to the largest degree that it ever has. How do we keep people motivated in this world with so much noise, right? Where, everyone per capita wealth-wise is increasing and increasing and increasing, and everyone's living in more opulence than they ever have before. You think just 100 years ago, an average person's living better than a king or queen did. And so that's pretty amazing at how we're upping our lifestyles. So how do we keep people motivated? How do we coach them correctly? How do we keep them from turning around in our companies? Because people are the key components. This is going to be a sales manager's new role. And this might get adopted into the next phase of it, which is a lot more fractional management, where you're hiring a company like Set to Close, for example, asking for a fractional manager to spend 10 hours a week in a business versus hiring a full-time person to be in the business and working with those people, because it won't be as needed. As the CEO or main leader, COOs, you're going to be able to make operational sales decisions right off your dashboard, because your dashboards are perfect and your data is immaculate. And you're going to be able to see things that you haven't seen before. Now, this is what I mean. It's not a time for apathy, because if you don't have those things coming into this new year, you're not in the right architectures. There's a big warning, Will Robinson warning. Now, Julia, my question to you in terms of this, because you worked across spectrum in marketing and everything under the sun, and you work in fractional management on a day-to-day basis with a bunch of different companies, is what are some of the possible warning signs that you're being outcompeted because you haven't taken action? What are the things that the market will tell you to say, hey, it's time to get up and go and start looking at these new phase of technologies? Is there anything that you've seen across the board when you're first entering a company?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's generally you get left behind, right? You start seeing things slip on a number of different areas, right? When your competitors are making split-second decisions based on data and based on like trained AI that's able to tell them what to do with historical data with no number crunching, and they're moving so fast, like the speed of light. And you start to see all of a sudden a company not do so well, and all of a sudden you track them over time, over quarter by quarter, and you start to see no growth whatsoever. And previously it was exhibiting growth. So that slowness of growth, that feeling that the competitors are coming up should be pretty evident these days if you're not jumping on it, because it's just so astronomical, the change in the difference between trying to go at it alone and figure things out with just the team, so to speak, versus leveraging these tools, because they allow companies to scale quick, they allow companies to move fast, and you just notice yourself in day one being a market leader, and next month all of a sudden, you know, you're barely visible in the online space, barely visible to your customers, and the competitors have moved completely past you. So some of those signs, to me, that's a bigger one, of course, and it doesn't happen right away. But again, you start to see people leave the company. You start to see things happen because people aren't hitting their quotas, because the competitors are, you know, crushing them, because they're making decisions. They're making AI-based decisions. They're prospecting with AIs, knowing when to reach out, what to reach out with. Content's being put in their lap instantaneously based on a signal that gets placed out online, and they reach out with it. So these things start to happen. You start to lose your top performers. You start to lose. You got to pay more for them, and then that's the catch-22. Is all of a sudden now you start sinking because of that reason. So those are some of the signs I've seen. I know there's a number of others, but yeah, it's an interesting day and age, and companies have got to change and adapt, like you said, and get on board, because there's not a lot of time here to think about it, because it's moving a lot faster than any other movement that we've ever seen in history.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And one of the things, and I just want to throw out there, if you're watching this right now, if you guys could repost, throw a like up, allow it to get out there, because we're doing a series now. We're going to do this a lot more, and we're going to have a lot of different people on here talking about these topics in big ways, and we're going to be doing deep dives over the future here. So if you're watching this, please give it a like, give it a repost, and a comment down below about some topics you'd like us to explore and different things like that. That would be awesome.
Thanks for watching, and keep removing those revenue roadblocks. If you want more videos like this, follow our channel for fresh, new content every day. Check out our RevOps playlist, or how about this video chosen just for you? See you next time.